and spurned 11 survivors, destroyed everything in its path. Family, friends, and community members gather yearly on this date. Year one was major. It was a time for healing, but a lot of emotion. That emotion is still here today, and as all of us can see with your neighbors looking around, we're sniffling and it's hard to get through this, but we do it. We have this event as a ceremony to remember those that were lost and remember those that risked everything to rescue and recover the loved ones 5 years ago today. Doesn't feel like it, does it? To me, it seems like yesterday. People ask me what I've been doing the last 5 years, and if the time has gone really fast. And I say, you know, if there's was a baby born on that day, that baby would be entering kindergarten. Then I realized that Chaplain Joel Johnson lived that exact same scenario. It's rough. So we're happy to have all of you here and the participants that are helping us to observe the ceremony and remember the lives lost and the survivors and the supporters and the first responders. So we do have a long day. It's going to last till about noon. We are going to have some words from some family members, words from survivors, words from Fire Chief Dennis Finstermaker. We'll have the reading of the names, a bell tolling, and then also the reading of the names of the survivors, again with the bell tolling. Shortly after that, we will have a couple prayers in there. There'll be a site blessing. We're going to talk about the long-term memorial and what we're doing with that, and then there'll be a couple of unveilings. The sculptures, the mailbox sculpture that was made, that was a landmark on Steelhead Drive just off of 530, and then also the renaming of SR 530 to the Oso Slide Memorial Highway. So again, we're all happy that you guys could be here and join us. Amy Lucas. Amy Lucas is a senior planner with Snohomish County Parks. They have been a major player and huge supporter and advocate in making sure this memorial gets off the ground. So she's going to update us on where we are now.
Hi, good morning. Thank you all for coming today. You are sitting and standing on the site of what's going to be a permanent memorial to honor not only the people who were lost today, but also those who showed up to help. So the first responders, the community responders, all of the people that came together and supported the people who are out here looking to bring everyone home. And we've been working with the Oso Slide Memorial Committee on doing some fundraising efforts over the last year. We've raised about $87,000 in monetary donations, and we've had about $150,000 in professional services donated to the project. So we appreciate the support we've had so far, but we have a long way to go as far as getting funding for this project. We do have a website set up. It's slidememorial.com, and we have a place in the top where you can click donate now and donate to the project. The families have also requested a budget ask from our state legislature, and so if you would like to support that, you can call your state representatives and your state senator and let them know that you support the families' asks. And so we're, like Dane said, we've got a few unveilings this morning, and so we'll go into a little more depth about the design of the permanent memorial. But I think the most important thing for this group is to know is that hopefully next year or maybe the year after, when you come to gather, we're going to have a permanent space for you to be in. So no more tents, no more, trying to find a place to set up. We're going to have a permanent place for you. So there'll be a community gathering area. There'll be a shelter in that area. And so this will be a permanent spot for everyone. Thank you, Dane.
Yeah. Welcome. Thank you, Amy, for doing that. Also, Amy lives about 5 miles up the road. She's lived in this community for several years, so she's very well vested in this. Lost several friends as well, and has been around in my family for years as well. Also, the most important thing that we're going to be locked into, and this is the only thing that's time imperative, is at 10:37 we will have a 60-second moment of silence for that. Of course, we'll announce when that's going to happen. And then Snohomish County Fire District Honor Guard members are here. Those are going to be our bell tollers, and then we have a member that's also going to play Amazing Grace on the bagpipes over to my left, which should echo throughout the valley. An interesting note on that is that we did that a few times throughout the recovery efforts, and it meant a lot. So it was good for them to return to do this and provide that service for us as well. At this time, we're going to have a couple words from some family members. Tom, do you want to say anything? Okay. Riley? Yes, did you want to talk? This is my son Riley. He was out there for 11 days with me next to my side. I couldn't shake the kid. He was searching for his Aunt Summer. He had a few words he wanted to say to you guys.
Hey guys, thanks for coming. I wrote this, so I just wanted to say it. When I was little, my dad noticed that I was always smiling, and he gave me the nickname Rilo Smilo. He said I was always looking at the positives and trying to see the best in every scenario. And on March 22nd, and for months to come up to that, it was hard to live up to that name. And here we are 5 years later. 5 years. I never thought that something that happened that long ago could seem like yesterday. I mean, does it feel like 5 years to you guys? Not a day goes by I don't visualize the aspects of that day, and it's the littlest things that send me into a rabbit hole of trying to figure out what I could have done differently and how I could have helped more. But I know I wouldn't be the person that I am today without that. It shaped me into a person that I'm proud to be. And don't get me wrong, I feel it's important to grieve, it's important to cry. It's a crucial part of getting ever so closer to getting over heartbreak. You know, some people say the glass is half empty, some say it's glass half full, but I order doubles, so it doesn't really matter. But I ask you guys to do something difficult today. I ask you to look at the silver lining. I stand here today as Rilo Smilo, with a slight smile on my face. Because I look around, I see my dad, and I see my family members, and I see my friends that I've made the last 5 years that have become family. It's bittersweet to look at the positive of such a horrible thing. But it's what I'm asking you to do. Look around and see the great things that we've done since that day. The long-term memorial, the renaming and nicknaming of Highway 530. It'll honor all of our beloved family members and friends. But most of all, look around and see the relationships that we've built with each other. It's something that I believe our loved ones will be proud of.
Thank you. Irene, did you want to talk? Okay. Let's see. Amanda, you gonna wait till later? Okay. Yes, please, Diana, come on up. Yep. Okay, thank you, Diana. Seth, did you want to say a few words? Okay. All right, buddy. Okay. With that, I'm going to turn it over now to Chief Dennis Fenstermaker. He's the fire chief of Darrington Fire District 24. He's going to talk about the words and some sayings from first responders.
Thank you. It is an honor to represent the first responder community that works so tirelessly at the slide. Local, Snohomish County, neighboring counties, state, and federal resources provided law enforcement, firefighters, EMTs, and paramedics, search dog teams, rescue technicians, and other skills that saved lives. On that morning, I drove through the area while coming home from my shift at the Seattle Fire Department. I passed by 20 minutes before the slide, and I get home and my pager sounds. A call for wires down and a barn roof blocking the road. A typical routine type of call. Then later, as I surveyed the scene, it became a weeks-long event that was actually the most complex emergency I was ever involved with in my entire 45-year career. Another rescue component was the local citizens that came to help in any way they could. They were utilized in every capacity for the first 2 days and then organized into rescue teams. Their contributions were the equal of any other rescue team member. The slide caused the worst type of natural disaster possible, with loss of life and property, life-threatening injuries, destruction of infrastructure, and economic hardship. Often the worst of situations also provide the opportunity to see the best in people, and that was the case here. Individuals, organizations, communities, and total strangers came together to care and comfort and get the best possible outcomes in a terrible situation. We were all much stronger and better equipped because of that. 5 years later, that is still the desire of many people. The need to build a permanent memorial to help recognize the contributions of hundreds of first responders who gave their all. It is a fitting honor to those not with us and the injured by this mention. Every one of us is affected by the memories of what we saw and did and lost. We will never be the same. A fitting memorial that provides a reason to remember the task we completed, the relationships established, and the thank you from a caring community is greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Next, I'm going to call on Snohomish County Councilman Nate Naring. He's the resolution to read for us.
Thank you. I'll be reading a letter from your Washington State legislators. March 22nd, 2014 started like any other day. Children went off to school, men and women left for work. Nobody thought that the remainder of the day would conclude with uncertainty, heartache, and ruin. An unstable hillside crashed down on the rural community of Oso, enveloping the Steelhead Haven neighborhood with mud and earthen debris. The events which would unfold each day of the search and rescue have left scars which run much deeper than the ravaged hillside which stands today as a testament to those lost that fateful day. 5 years have passed, and yet, for those who have lost so much, time is but a fleeting thought. While some wounds have healed, some will never go away, not completely. Because for each home lost, for each life which was taken far too soon, a legacy was left behind. Husbands and wives, brothers and sisters, mothers and fathers, a living tribute to those who perished. But from that loss, something new was born in that moment and the months that followed. It is something which cannot be described, but only felt. A new sense of community, of strength, and of understanding. Today we stand on hallowed ground, memorializing those lives lost, the steadfast resolve of the families, the first responders, the community, and our tribal partners. We honor each and every one of you because no matter how hard we might try, we can never understand truly the immense sense of sorrow you feel. The courage and selfless commitment demonstrated during this event stands as a shining light born out of this tragic day. Oh So Strong has become much more than just a catchphrase. For 5 years, it has been a foundation upon which everything else has been built. Out of your heartache, a new sense of purpose arose. Bound together out of loss, the Oh So community has become family. Brothers and sisters united by sorrow, found strength in each other. And while we gather here today to dedicate these 43 mailboxes, let your strength and your belief in each other steady your foundation. While we weep, let us also not forget your steadfast spirit. We commend to you the attached resolution, a small token of our commitment to you and to this community. To stand tall, bound together in loss and in triumph, we are Oh So Strong. And I'll just read really briefly the end of this resolution, which is attached, which was passed by the Washington State House. Now therefore be it resolved that the House of Representatives honor the memory of the lives lost, the families of the lost victims, the survivors of the Oh So slide in the community response, and commend the steadfast spirit of the responders who helped the community recover.
Thank you, Councilman Daring. At this time, I invite Chaplain Joel Johnson. He's a chaplain for the north part of Snohomish County. He's also a member of the Oh So Fire Department and a member of the Darrington Fire Department. He's been instrumental in making sure that all of us have had the full 100% support of everyone, including the man upstairs. So at this time, we're going to have the reading of the names of the 43 victims, and then the Snohomish County Fire District 1 Honor Guard will be tolling the bell.
The following is the list of the 43 members of our community that we lost 5 years ago. Christina Jeffords, Sanoa Hustis, Stephen Neal, Linda McPherson, Katie Ruthven, Shane Ruthven, Hunter Ruthven, Wyatt Ruthven, Louis Vandenberg, Judy Vandenberg, Summer Raffo, Joseph Miller, John Regelbrugge III, Chris Regelbrugge, Alan Bevel, Delaney Webb, Tom Satterley, Marcy Satterley, Julie Farnes, Adam Farnes, Bill Welsh, Shelley Balomo, Amanda Lennick, Jerry Logan, Brandy Ward, Lon Slauson, Stephen Harris, Teresa Harris, Denver Harris, Stephen Hadaway, Thomas Durnell, Gloria Halstead, Jerry Halstead, Billy Spillers, Brooke Spillers, Kaylee Spillers, Jovan Manuel, Larry Miller, Sandra Miller, Michael Pearson, Bonnie Gullickson, Mark Gustafson, Ronald DeCuletis,
Thank you, Joel. Next, we're going to have the reading of the 11 survivors. This is going to be done by Fire Chief Willie Harper, the Oso Fire Department.
Thank you for coming today. Somebody asked me, what puts their name on this list as survivors, and I feel like that's a very vague description. It's somebody who was out there that day, somebody we pulled out, or somebody who walked out. But I think that when you look around, we're all survivors. I don't know if we've lost anybody after that day, and I hope that that's the truth. And I don't know the answer to that, but the majority of the people that I remember from those first few days and that I've met since then are still here, and I think that's amazing. So I'll just read the list that I was given. Tim Ward, Amanda Sutterth, Duke Sutterth, Bob Ellsworth, Bobby Ellsworth, Jacob Spillers, Robin Youngblood, Jetty Duper, Mac McPherson, Mark Lambert, and Larry Gullickson.
Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, at this time, we're going to have a prayer by Chaplain Joel Johnson.
As was and has been stated by many people, thank you all so much for coming. We recognize that this is a difficult day, but as been pointed out, it is a good day because we are all together. And I want to remind us that days like today can easily be lost amongst the circumstances we find ourselves in through the pomp and circumstance, but I challenge us to never forget the reason why we're here, and that's for the 43 that we lost. And ultimately, the coming together of a community across the world to support the families and friends and community that lost these loved ones. So if you'd bow your heads with me, let's pray. Our most gracious and loving Heavenly Father, we're gathered here today to remember. And God, though days like today and many other days for the last 5 years have been the most difficult of our lives, God, we recognize that through your love, through your power, through your grace, and through your peace, that we are here again today. God, I thank you for these people gathered here and those that couldn't be with us. I thank you for the strong sense of community and the sense of resolve that we have seen demonstrated time and time again. God, I thank you for the love that is represented here for one another. God, I thank you that we are able to put aside what's going on in our lives to be here to support each other. Father, as we look here and stand on hallowed ground, I pray that your peace that passes all understanding would just be with us, that your indescribable love would surround us, and that your joy would ultimately flood our hearts. So God, that we can move forward. God, I pray that you would help us to endure. You would help us to move forward, and God, ultimately honor the 43 that we lost in everything that we do. God, we also pray for the plans of a permanent memorial here, that those would all go quickly and smoothly, and God, that it would be a lasting testament to the 43 lost and the amazing work that was accomplished to bring healing and wholeness back to this valley. God, we understand that we are changed and we are not the same. But God, I pray that we would be steadfast in our resolve to remain strong as a community. And God, that we would bless each other and love each other continually every day. So again, God, we just thank you for your peace that is here. And God, thank you for this time that we are gathered here to honor those that we've lost. In the name of Jesus Christ we pray. Amen.
Thank you, sir. We have a few moments before we're going to observe our 60-second moment of silence. We'll have a couple people that want to say a few words. Gail Thompson. Gail is a resident of Steelhead Drive, along with her husband Ron, and she's awesome.
Oh boy, must not be my fault then. But I'm just so. I'm never lost for words. I know that they're somewhere. We gather because we need to, because love has called us to come to this place and be family. We grieve for the loss and the pain that we suffer daily, but know that our hope continues to lead us on. We remember our story, our event, and we recover all at the same time. We engage in each other's stories. Ron and I have heard so many stories, how people were connected. Ron comes up to the site often and shares his story with people from all around the world. And so many people have just been so touched, they feel that they have to come. And Ron is able to share pictures and the stories and help keep our event from never being forgotten. So we engage in the stories and we embrace in the love and keep connected through Facebook and our gathering. And Ron's, of course, the sign man from OSO, and so he made a new sign for the gate this year, and keeping hope alive. And so in our healing hope this day, as we gather and as we return from where we came from, we know that our hearts are connected and we are love strong in OSO. So thank you.
Thank you, Gail. Again, Ron and Gail lost all their possessions and all their belongings. Basically, their entire livelihood was destroyed that day. We have about 35 seconds before our moment of silence. We ask that everybody respectfully stand and observe it. As we know, 5 years ago to this minute, our lives changed forever.
Would everyone please stand and make sure that your cell phones or any other devices are silenced as we observe this 60 seconds of silence here shortly. Let us bow in silence. Thank you. Thank you for joining us in a moment of silence and honor and memory and love and hope.
If you turn to the east, my left, your right, you'll see Snohomish County Fire District Honor Guard member. We'll play Amazing Grace on the bagpipes. Okay. Thank you for that time and attention. This is hard. It's hard to be here. It's hard to speak of these 43 people that we miss so much, but we draw strength and comfort from each other. So we're going to take a break for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to reconvene directly behind you for the... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the wrong outline, the wrong side of the outline. There we go. Let's get rid of these. My eyes are leaking. Sorry. We'll have a break for about 10 minutes, and then we're going to have a slide memorial site blessing by Chaplain Joel Johnson and then Stillaguamish Tribal Chairman Sean Yanity. So just take about 10 minutes to look around you, find those folks that you haven't seen for a while, hug them, love them, cry with them, and tell them you're happy you're here.
Tuptalo Tizda Tulalcha Stolakwabj. My given name is Tuptalo. I carry that from my 5th great-grandfather, who was a medicine man. My given name in English is Sean Yanity. I'm the chairman of the Stillaguamish tribe. And I know I don't have to explain the importance and the love that we all have for this valley. I know my ancestors, since time immemorial, have been here and called it home. And then when the settlers came here, they called it home. And this is your home, this is our home. And when this event happened, we want you to know that it hit us too. We lost friends, we lost family. And so we just want to stand here with you in solidarity, hoping that we can lift your hearts and your sorrows for the things that you feel. I feel it. I have 2 grandchildren that are missing their grandfather. And so, my ancestors that are buried in these hills are now standing and hopefully holding yours. And that they're together. This morning I asked my ancestors to be with me, to bring the proper words out, to lift you all up. And this is your ceremony. And we just wanted to be here, not to do the blessing, but to share with us, to give you strength. And the song that I want to sing for you was a song that my elders asked me to bring a song out for our salmon ceremony. And this is where I came. I came to this mountain and prayed, and the words, the song, everything came to me. And then we joined Canoe Journey. Our canoe family picked it up. And they used every beat of that drum beat to give them strength to carry them on their journey while they're on the water. Every stroke that they take is a stroke they're taking in remembrance of our ancestors. So I want to share this song with you to give you strength in your journey, and every stroke and step that you take that gives you the courage and strength to carry on and remember your lost loved ones. Osia. excuse me, I'm messing up. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We ask for blessings for our elders. We ask for blessings for our children. We ask for blessings for this gathering. Lord, our hearts are very heavy today. We ask that the memorial be blessed. We're very thankful for the support. We're very thankful for the support for our leadership in Washington State, our governor, our legislatures, all of our federal agencies, and our community. We ask for blessings, Lord, for each and every person that's here, the healing in their hearts. We're very proud of this community to stand together as we have. In your loving name, amen. Oh, masista. I just want to say thank you to all for letting us have this opportunity to be here and share that song with you. It's Ukelafti Siaya, our friends coming up river. So that's our canoe song, and I hope you enjoyed it. And again, thank you very much, and blessings to each and every one of you.
Thank you. You guys can clap for him. It was great. Thank you. That's good. Well, thank you, and we just simply like to follow that up. I don't know how we would bless this site in any more appropriate way, but just to simply say, if you just join me in another prayer of blessing, our Heavenly Father, we just ask that you would bless this site. God, that the sorrow of this site would turn to gladness, that the chaos of this site would turn to peace, that the mourning that is found here at this site would turn to joy. God, may the memorial and this whole site be a place of healing, a place of community, and a place of love. God, that would not only be here for all of us that have been affected, but that could be a beacon of hope and love for anybody who stopped by to pay their respects and honor those that we've lost. So again, Father, we ask that you simply bless this site. We commit this ground, we commit this memorial to you, that you may turn something that was bad and make it into something that was good. In the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, amen. Okay, now we'll move on to some more of our dedication ceremony.
Thank you, Chairman Yanity, and thank you, Chaplain Johnson. All right. I'd like to call Mr. John Hadaway up. This is going to be the portion of our ceremony this morning where we talk about the renaming, the nicknaming of SR 530.
Okay. A few months back, I was taken on the task of renaming the highway. So after many emails and phone calls and a lot of angels behind me, it became fact. They signed the papers on the 20th of February. So it's you can see the mock-up sign over there. Oso Slide Memorial Highway. As Dane said, my name's John Hadaway. I lost my brother in the slide. He was the 42nd person found. He was out in this mud for 2 months. But he's with us today. So I thank all you for coming. It means a lot.
Thank you, John. As mentioned, there's several family members that are on the committee for the Slide Memorial, and John has taken the renaming effort to heart and pushed what would normally be about a 1-year ordeal and made it about 6 weeks. He couldn't do it alone, though. So we have with us today the Secretary of Transportation for Washington State is Roger Millar, and he will speak to us now.
No, I understand. Good morning, everyone. I noticed during the moment of silence and during pauses, the peepers in the background. Rebirth. It's wonderful. Good morning, and thank you for letting me be a part of this. My name is Roger Millar. I'm the Secretary of the Washington State Department of Transportation. Today's an important day. Today marks a day in which the highway has been renamed so that everyone who travels this corridor knows its significance. They will know that they pass by sacred ground, as each of you who live here today already know. I personally was not at the department when the slide happened, but like countless others, I've learned about it. I saw the images, I read the stories, I've visited the communities, and when I joined the agency, I heard the stories of how everyone came together, how the community came together to support one another in the days and the weeks and the years following. You have to know that this affected us at WashDOT too. I know that we have staff, members of our team, who observe this anniversary in their own way every year. For us, our work here is personal. We have a crew just down the road at our maintenance shed in Hazel. Many call this valley home, and one of them lost his sister here on that terrible day. Our maintenance crews were part of the first response team. They provided the traffic control. They worked in the recovery effort. They worked in the restoration of the highway. Our communications staff, Chris Reitman and others, were very involved in making sure that the media and the public and the families and the loved ones knew what was going on. Our engineers worked on plans and contracts to help reconnect people in these communities. So as an agency, we've worked with all of you to do things that we'd never done before, like opening the access road, running a land ferry, and 6 months later reopening the highway. So we're really happy to be here as a part of today's events, and we're really happy that we were able to do our part to get the highway renamed in honor and in memory of the lives that were lost and the lives that were changed forever. Thank you.
Thank you, Secretary. Next from Department of Transportation is Debbie Young. She's going to say a few words.
So at the State Transportation Commission, one of our jobs is to approve the naming of state highways. And it is at once our easiest and our hardest job. When a naming proposal comes before us, it is often preceded by a great tragedy. And at the same time, it means there's a dedicated community of caring survivors who are finding a way to cope with their loss and commemorate their loved ones. The tragedy that struck here, the community of Steelhead Haven, and took 43 precious lives and homes, was a tragedy not only for the large community of families and loved ones, but for the entire state. So many of us watched the news coverage of the outstanding efforts of hundreds and hundreds of local, state, tribal, and federal responders who worked with the volunteers, family members, and neighbors, and our hearts went out to you. When family members and communities attended our commission meeting on February 20th, we were able to hear many of your stories of personal loss. You're an example and an inspiration for us all. This memorial rightfully honors those whose lives were lost, their families, the community, and the first responders and volunteers who worked so tirelessly in the days, weeks, and months following that fateful day 5 years ago. It shows us also the perseverance and spirit of those of you who have survived. It's truly an honor for the Washington State Transportation Commission to unanimously approve a resolution to name the 23 miles of State Route 530 between milepost 22 and milepost 45 the Oso Slide Memorial Highway. Now for generations to come, this event, the tragic loss, and your heroic community efforts will always.
Thank you, Ms. Young. Shortly after the event happened 5 years ago, as Roger Millar stated, Department of Transportation was out here right away to assist in the recovery efforts to get the road open, to connect Darrington to the rest of the world, and to make sure that we were all taken care of. One of those key persons was Chris Reitman, and is Chris Reitman. Chris Reitman is here. She is the actual public information officer for DOT. She was here, and it was kind of a blur for me at that time. Not sure why, but the trees behind me was her deal. She brought that up. Her team made that happen, and it was a significant and awesome gesture from DOT to do for the families, so we could have a place to reflect and a place to come here and mourn the loss of our loved ones at the time. And it was fantastic. She is awesome, and I'm going to hand the mic over to her so that she about today.
Thank you. If I could encourage everyone to maybe move a little bit closer to the sign so that you can take a look at it with me, as well as for the mailbox sculpture, that would be really great. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. My name is Chris Reitman, and I'm the Communications Director for the Washington State Department of Transportation. John asked me to say a few words today, and I wanted to take just a moment to reflect on what a privilege it has been to help the families and to serve these communities over the last few years. There is nothing that truly prepares you professionally or personally for something like what happened here in the Stille Valley. Professionally, we train to know what to do when bad things happen. And when they do, for a moment, they take your breath away. And then you focus on the task at hand to help. I am often reminded of a story about Fred Rogers. And the story goes that when he was a child and he would see bad things happen on the news, his mother would say, "Look for the helpers. You will always find people helping." And in the days that followed the slide, it was inspiring, humbling, and comforting to see the helpers. And I see many of those helpers here today. Thank you for inviting us to participate in today's ceremony and to unveil these signs that are along this corridor. This sign in particular will be available after today's ceremonies in that table right by the gate for family members and for first responders.
She is family, as you know. She's hiding. She is a resident of Steelhead Drive, and her son Duke were there 5 years ago.
Thank you. Good morning. So shortly after the slide occurred, there began to be discussions about a permanent memorial on the site. But really about 2 years ago, formal planning for what that memorial might look like started to happen. And early on, it was determined that there really needed to be a representation of the community that was on the site that was lost, as well as recognition of the victims, the response, and then also the geology, essentially, of the slide and why it happened. So at one of these early meetings, Seth Jeffords pulls out this picture and says, in honor of the community, we should recreate this. So from that moment, basically, the idea of a mailbox sculpture replica has been a part of the memorial plan. And so it's really resonated with people. Whenever we've gone out to do a presentation about the memorial and spread the word about what's planned, inevitably, during or after, someone will come up to us and say, that really resonates, that's impactful to replicate that mailbox sculpture. And I think it's because it was a well-known landmark for the area. Driving by, you couldn't see the houses off the road because of the line of trees, but because of this cluster of mailboxes, you knew that the homes were there. You ready? Gotcha. Got it?
Yeah. Okay. You guys are gonna have to bear with me. I'm a crier. I figure if I just allow myself one good cry through the whole thing, I'll be all right. Okay. When Dane asked if I wanted to speak today, I wasn't sure if I could. I sat for a minute and I waited, and a flood of memories came to mind. From Tosh running through our backyard to meet Duke. She was very pregnant and barefoot, and For those of you who don't know, Tosh and I were pregnant at the same time. Snowy was 25 days younger than Duke, so we always had a special connection. Memories of Chris in her garden, in her overalls, and this smile that could light the world. Sorry. She grew sunflowers that were so damn big. Sorry, so big. That I thought to myself, God, I wish I could grow something. Memories of our first walk as a family of 3 down the trail to show Duke where he was going to learn how to swim. Getting home from work one day to a blanket on our porch made by Julie Farnes, who I'd only met one time at Tosh's baby shower. Which, by the way, that's the day that I met Snowy. And I whispered to her, everyone laughed at me, but I whispered to her, "Hi, I'm your mother-in-law." The blanket that Julie made for us was actually recovered, and I'm really thankful it was, because now we have not only memories, but something physical to bring us back here. I had just started to get to know my neighbors, and I'm sorry I didn't get to meet everyone sooner. To me, the mailboxes were a sign that I was home. It might sound silly, but it was comforting seeing them and knowing that after a long day, I was home safe with my boys. The slide took away any resemblance of home for all of us. So knowing that we now have our mailboxes back is comforting. Knowing that there is something to show people that we were here, to remind us that in this unrecognizable landscape that we all had memories here. Those memories deserve to be honored, and the people that lived here never forgotten. Thank you.
Okay, so 5 years after the slide, we're honored to dedicate this first piece of the memorial. It's appropriate that it's a symbol of community, because so much of this memorial is about community, how the immediate community responded, and then moving on to the county, the state, and even like around the world. So we would like to thank very much the Snohomish County Arts Commission. Their chair, Keith Gehrig, is here today, and it's because that they identified funding for this that we were able to move forward on this first piece. They went through the process to identify the artist who completed it, Louise McDowell. So we'd also like to thank Louise. She created this based off of only 2 photographs and worked just really hard to make this as true to what it has actually been as possible. And then lastly, I'd like to recognize Seth Jeffords, who brought the idea up to begin with, who helped select Louise for the work, who weighed in on the design and checked with community members, and just basically was a champion for this to happen. So the plaque that's installed with the sculpture notes the piece as being called It Was a Home by Louise McDowell, dedicated March 22nd, 2019, and further reads, in honor of the community centered around Steelhead Drive, Seapost Road, and State Route 530, which was lost in the March 22nd, 2014 landslide. Always in our hearts, never forgotten.
Wow, it's very touching. I have to say, when these folks that are serving with us on the Memorial Committee to make sure that the legacies of the 43 victims are never forgotten are my family. I can't even look up at Seth Jeffords right now because it's making my eyes leak. It was an honor for me to ask Amanda Sudarth to speak. And for those of you that have known her for the last 5 years, this is probably about the most difficult thing that she's ever had to do, other than watch her son go through several surgeries and then herself. When she agreed to do it, it warmed my heart. And I knew that it was a huge step in a road to recovery that we've all been on for so long. And I kept waiting for her to call me to tell me that she couldn't do it. I thought about it. Well, you didn't call me and I wouldn't have answered. And my voicemail's full. But she did send me a text message, and she just says, I just sent her one, and I said, how are you doing? And when you say those words to somebody, it's rhetorical because I already know the answer. But she did respond, and she just goes, I got to admit, I'm freaking out a little bit right now. And I wasn't going to give her an exit. I knew she could do it. And I told her that she is one of the strongest women that I've ever met in my entire life. And when she came here today, she said, I'm a little bit nervous. And I said, but you're going to be fine because we're going to be right here next to you. Seth was here, and all of you are here. We certainly cannot do this without you at all. The support, the love, the hugs, the tears, crying, the laughter, the memories from all of you is what gets us through this. And that's what's going to continue to get us through it. We're on the road to healing. It's a new normal, and we'll never be the same, ever. But we're going to be here together, and we're determined. So on behalf of the families, I certainly want to express my appreciation for all of you being here. There are so many. I even saw some National Guardsmen that came that were here for the 2 weeks for the recovery, and then all kinds of Northwest IMT, USAR, FEMA reps, fire department reps, family members, and some folks that I haven't seen in 5 years. It's awesome. We've gotten a little bit older and a lot wiser, haven't we? Snohomish County Parks has been an integral part of this memorial, and along with, is Roger Millar still here? Yeah. Chris Reitman broke some rules, by the way. So it's Snohomish County Parks. But we love it. They operated in the gray area to make sure that we had everything and that we were taken care of. So well done. Thank you all. Thank you all for being here, and I love each and every one of you.
I just want to say something really quick. It is extremely difficult to stand up here and do this, so I want to thank Dane for organizing everything and doing all this. I want to thank Oso Fire, Darrington Fire, all of you for coming, so thank you so much.
So I'm Tom Tigan, the County Parks Director, and really thankful for the support we've gotten from all the agencies, and certainly our county electeds have been behind us the whole time. You know, every time we've needed something, Dave Summers or our council members or Ken Klein when he was on council out here, now Nate Nearing, people have been very supportive. And the next big step we're going to be looking at is really raising funds for this now, really getting serious about that. The code amendment to help build out this memorial is working its way through the county process and should be done in the next month or two. And so it's really time on the 5-year to really get serious about raising several $1 million to put in this memorial. It's important to so many people in so many ways. And so in June 22nd, we are hosting a really hopefully amazing dinner in downtown Seattle down at the Marriott on the waterfront. It's Pacific Northwest Paradise is the name that the families chose. That's because this area was paradise. It is paradise, but we need to work to complete this memorial on their behalf and on the behalf of all those first responders and all the local community folks and everybody that really went through an amazing transition and horrible time together. And so Dan, again, thanks today. Well done. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Sean. Thank you all that were involved. Thank you, Washington, for coming out. And I think we're going to stay around now for some media to talk with. But as far as the rest of the day, the families have their plan. They know what that is. They'll be doing that. They'll be out at the site multiple times today and having dinner together and other things. So Dan, again, for your leadership, Jessica, Seth, John, Basanka family, all of you that have been so actively involved and come out and support. Wouldn't happen without you, so well done.
I think he's done. He just handed me the microphone. All right, guys, thank you again so much for coming today. This concludes our agenda and our time together officially. We've got a little bit of time before the shuttle buses will start running again, so take this time to hug one another again, visit with people you haven't got a chance to connect with, and thank you all again so much for coming.
Really? That's awesome.
This one wasn't blowing at all, but this one was. I don't know if you saw it. You could hear the clinking.
Yeah, I was wondering.
This one's not moving at all, but these are all clinking. Every single one of them. They kept looking back and forth like, this one's rocking, this one's not. You chose the wrong one. I guess that's what happens when I pick the